Those who don't know me, my name is Rick. I'm the owner of Iris Environmental Laboratories. I've been doing this for about 23 to 24 years. We're a consultant, field tech services, and also a laboratory. We deal with asbestos, mold, lead, soil, water, radon, formaldehyde, VOCs, etc. I'm going to go ahead and try to move the slide here. I was incorporated to this business in 2003, and what you see here is a picture of my first office back in college. That's my badge, that's my computer, my college books. And I started working with a company called JMS Environmental. And I was a field tech, and I moved on and created my own company in 2012 called BioCare Environmental Solutions. And later on, I kind of came back and purchased the old lab called JMS, and I turned it into Iris Environmental Laboratories in 2016. In 2019, we go ahead and franchise around the country. We currently have two locations in New Jersey, PA, New York, Florida, Texas, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina. A picture of me and my brother. I brought him in to run over the back office, a little help. Currently, compared to my office today, is the building in the bottom here, the bottom right. And we're also part of the Entrepreneur magazine for 2021 to 3, 4 as well, but I haven't changed that since 2022. This is a sort of religion to me: ethics, values, integrity. You have to know, have that self to recognize your strengths, your limitations, and impact on them. Which that means is you have to recognize what you're good at. And not having employees that are better than me, certain categories, and I have to avoid them, put them in the right place to be effective. So that's the impact I have on them. I know what they're good at, I know what they're bad. Social awareness is understanding and respect the perspectives, the needs and emotions of others.
Hi, Rick. Sorry
Hi.
to, sorry to interrupt. We have a few people having a hard time hearing you. Do you have like a microphone or something that you could use? For some reason, it's like they said you sound like you're muffled or like there's a lot of
Really?
static noise.
Okay,
Like,
let me look at the Zoom microphone.
yeah, I think it's just because like you have not sure if you have any device around you. It's probably like a static. Um,
No, there's nothing going on here. Let me do a mic check.
or just try not to move a lot. I'm just, I think it's
No,
because
no movement here.
not sure what it is, but I do get what they're saying. Um,
Open the microphone tab.
yes. I mean, I could hear you. It's just I think sometimes it would like lag.
Can you, any problems now if I speak?
Oh, there you go. I think you sound fine now. Yeah. Does that sound better, everyone?
Yeah, I just did a few changes in microphone testing here. Let me get a little
Okay,
closer
there
as
you go.
well.
They said it's better now. I think you would
Perfect.
need
Sorry
to.
about that. Technical
There
difficulties is
you
always
go.
part of the process.
I mean, yes, that's fine. All good. Thank you.
Uh, Thanks for letting me know. Let me start. Let me start with the slide again. I'm going to go a little faster. That's okay. So we can catch up. Ethics, values, and integrity. Self-awareness. Recognize your strengths, limitations, impact on others. Recognizing your strengths is knowing that there are people there that can do it better than you, and also it could be teammates that do better than you, and you should know where to put them, what to do. Social awareness, understand the respect the perspective, needs, and emotions of others. Know what they're capable of. Know that employees or other people that what they're able to do and what they're not able to do. Know their strength, know their weakness, and where to put them in your team. Self-management. Maintain accountability, adaptability, and professionalism under any pressure. That means things will always go south. Our job is to manage the bad things. That's what we do for a living. is to straighten out all the kinks in the hose and make sure we have accountability. If you're going to tell someone that you're going to get this done in 24 hours, you let them know and get it done in 24 hours, or you let them know you need extra time. Communication is key. Relationship management. Build trust. Communicate effectively and lead with integrity. Just do what you say you're going to do. Deliver. That's that's religion for me. Ethics, values, and integrity in a short term of 4 points. Let's talk about mold. Mold is a fungi. It is naturally in the environment. It is everywhere. It is indoors. It is outdoors. It basically eats cellulose material mostly. It eats and it reproduces and it grows. Like a tree has a fruit, mold does the same thing. It reproduces into another mold seed. It flies away as a spore, lands somewhere, and it grows. It needs nutrients, and it needs to digest, and it needs proper settings such as water, the good environment to grow. It needs oxygen, it needs moisture. So these spores will become airborne, land somewhere else, grow again, and that's pretty much it. The potential health effects of mold is allergic reactions. You may be allergic to mold. There are toxigenic effects and there are pathogenic effects. So when you inhale mold through your nostrils, some of it can actually just stay in your throat. And you get that itchy throat. Some of it can go to your lungs, into alveoli, which is the little sacs in your lungs where the oxygen comes in and gets converted. And other people get they get headaches, other people throw up, other people get lightheaded, and other people get faint. This is all your body trying to basically push this organism out. And everyone will have different effects to a mold uh, infestation, poisoning, or just walking into it. So it all depends how much your body can take. So every individual is different. It could be a pathogenic thing. It's in your DNA. It comes from your parents. It could be this mold is different than the others, more toxic. And then irritants, just like I said, itchy skin, itchy throat, watery eyes, vomiting, nausea, headaches. It all depends on the person. And of course, when we speak of infants, young children, and the elderly, they have compromised immune system. This is very dangerous. I would say that it's even more dangerous than asbestos. So we have to put in consideration when we talk about mold, the person and their pathogenic, toxigenic, infectious irritants. That goes all in constitution what happens. So there are good things about mold, and not just negative things about mold. The discovery of penicillin was by Alexander Fleming in 1929. So when I say penicillin, you think about the medicine and exactly what it is. It is mold. It is a toxin. So when you inhale that mold, there's some of it that can also generate and go straight to your nervous system. It impairs the receptors from transferring that message to one receptor to another, such as when you feel pain and you take a pill to take out the pain on your foot, you're taking an oral pill. The oral pill is not going to your foot, it's going straight to your sensors, to your pain sensors in your brain. And that's the same thing how penicillin works. Since species of penicillins are used for food industry, producing brewed cheese, yogurt, detergent. So we know the health risk, but we also have the benefits of penicillin and aspergillus. A lot of food, fermenting foods, industry for Asian cuisine has a lot of MSG. All of these, like I said, we have to understand mold to make a decision because not all mold is bad. When it comes to a real estate transaction, so let's go into now what you guys do. You hire someone to go out there and do an inspection for you. And the problem I see on our daily basis are that this is nothing against it, but it's just a visual cue that I see happening a lot that we have to go and solve. Is that home inspectors are taking a air quality inside of your home, and then they're submitting the analytical report. to the client. And then it says elevator. You have mold here. You have aspergillus, penicillin. It's the report just says elevator, but we don't have the information what happened. I also teach this class for home inspectors, and I told them don't tell your client you're doing a home inspection for mold. Tell them you're doing an ambient air quality of the current day because things can change. If it's raining outside, you should not be doing the mold inspection. So there's a lot of variables. I'm not going to go into it, but that's the problem I see every day. So what I'm trying to say is your inspector has to tell you where is the mold, the origin of the mold, what caused it to grow, what kind of mold is it, so we know how to combat it. Is it a physical growth that we see it, or is it more airborne? How extensive is this? Because you see them with those little dots on the wall here, but typically when you see the little dots on the surface, it's 10 times bigger on the inside because we are dealing with like 10% shows, another 90% is beneath the surface, depending on the case, of course. And then it has to be show you a list of materials, maybe 10 feet of the sheetrock, the ceiling, the carpet. So you've got to know where it is, what caused it, what kind it is. Is it airborne? Is it physical? How extensive is the damage? List of materials, square footages, where they are, and then he has to write a protocol how to fix it. This protocol can go to a remediation company or it can go to insurance case, depending on the situation. How do these home inspectors or mold inspectors take care of the situation? How do they provide you with an inspection? There are 3 layers of inspection. One is the air samples. He is going to take air quality samples. It's just to know how extensive is this. We're dealing with the basement, supposedly. We're taking air quality in the basement. We also take an air quality on the first floor. If the budget allows, I would like to take an air quality in the second floor. So all my data should show if our problem is in the basement, that I'm going to have the large amount of mold spores in the basement, and our first floor is going to be a little less, and our second floor is going to be even less than our previous 2 samples. So I will have an indicator that the basement is my problem. Then of course we see mold, we have mold, yes, but now I have to put it on paper. I have to prove it to you. So we know the extent of the air quality that they're breathing in because they do live in all 3 floors of the house, basement, first, second, possibly a third. Second, we will take a physical sample. We can either take a bulk sample, which is the building material itself. We can take a direct ID, which is a little glue slide they put over the mold. And we can do a microvac as well, or we can do a DNA testing, but that is not really a mandatory number 3 or 4. That's for if you have a health issue problem. This goes a little bit beyond. I don't think we should get into this today. It's just more specific situations. So we have number 1, sampling of the air. Number 2, your physical sample. I said 3 tiers. The third tier is data collection, temperature, humidity, what's going on inside the house. What do you see? Maybe a vent is not open. Maybe a vent's not closing. Maybe the shower is on too long. There's steam everywhere. There's all these little issues. Maybe this person's saying they're getting a headache in this room. These are the visual cues of your knowledgeable inspector that you're hiring. So those are the 3 tiers of mold inspection. You need air quality samples, you need physical samples, and then you need all that other data control from the inspector, moisture readings, infrared cameras, your visual cue, temperatures, dew points. Those are things that are going to help me with inspection. These are only the basics. Your inspector is going to look through HVAC operation, odors, construction type, previous repairs, remodeling, structure defects, water intrusions, condensation, water stains, cooling, structural damage, because he needs to prove where that mold is, where's it coming from, what's the problem, how big is it, and our protocol on how to fix it. Are microbials present? Yes or no? Why are we sampling? What were we trying to prove? I tell the people that we're not collecting samples, we're collecting data points. We need to collect enough samples to make certain that the problem is here and nowhere else. We have to make sure that we collect enough samples, which we're going to talk about sampling right now. When you're inspector or you see that report, let's supposedly understand that our problem is in the kitchen. We're going to call that the red flag area. You guys see the red flag right in the middle, that's the kitchen. I will take an air quality sample there. And then I will take 3 other samples of air quality all throughout the floor. And perhaps I'll take a physical sample. And then, of course, we're going to look at those staining on the walls. We're going to take moisture readings. We're going to document everything we see. And then at the end of all of it, we're going to take a sample on the exterior of the property, probably 10 to 15 feet away from the property. A day that is not raining, a day that's not really cold, a day that no one's doing the lawn, so all those spores, when they're cutting the lawn, goes up and spike my sample. You got to be careful of all of these things. The outside sample is called the background control. So a mold inspection is basically us comparing the outside sample to the inside sample. In theory, my red flag area should have a lot of spores. The room right next door to it should have a little less. The basement a little less, and the top floor a little less compared to my exterior control sample. But like I said, if it rained the previous day, or if it's raining that day, if it's snowing, someone cut the lawn, those things could affect the samples. So you have to be careful when to sample. I know you guys have a 2 week or 1 week window to do inspections, but I just like teach you the right way and what to look for, the cues. So we took all our samples. We know what to do. We know what we're looking for. What do we see now? We see this beautiful page here. This is a analytical report. And I'm going to teach you how to look at it. If you go, do you guys see my mouse movement or no? No, right? Just the page?
Yeah, we see it.
Great. This is our exterior porch control sample. Is your exterior porch control sample we do. And these are the mold columns. We have the ascospores, the Aspergillus penicillin, the Bacillus spores, the Cladosporium, and then we have Stachybotrys. This right here is very toxic, Stachybotrys and Cladosporium. Aspergillus is the mold that is basically everywhere. It is a moisture indicator, but like I said, it's in soil, it's in plants. You can carry in your shirt and your hair because we have abundance amount of it. But if we focus here on Aspergillus, we're going to go to the middle column. Count per millimeters cubed. It's a square. Sorry about that. We have 1,200, 1,200 spores. So we go to our basement, it has 66,000 spores. The rule of thumb by AIHA, 10 times is the rule. So the inside cannot have 10 times more than the outside. This is a lot more. So 1,200 compared to 66 is many times more. So this sample will say elevated. That means there's a problem. We should not have this amount of Aspergillus penicillin in the basement. Other way we can do it is looking at the total spores. Our total spores for the exterior is 3,556 compared to our 66,000. That's a failing report. And then we can look at individual molds. For an example, here the basement had 67 spores of Cladosporium, but there was none outside, which tells me that there's a problem inside. I have nothing, zero outside. And I have 67 spores, microbials that were generated inside of the home. It's not a big number, 67, but it is a very toxic spore. So we should address this. It comes the second layer now, our physical samples, our visual cues of where we find in the house. So those are the three layers come into this. So what you do here is look at your total amount first. If this is 10 times higher, the exterior total is 10 times higher than your interior, sorry, the other way around, that fails. The individual mold that is 10 times more on the inside than your outside, that's also a failure. That's how you read an analytical report. But of course, you will have a final report explaining what are the findings, where it is, if it passes or fails. But again, they say if there's not a pass or fail, it's just an elevated situation. So it has to do with a lot of the lawsuits that are going on with mold right now, and I'll tell you why. The state of New Jersey does not have regulations for mold. It does not have a licensing program for mold, and it does not have a remediation program or licensing for mold. The last time we tried to pass this was 2022. Two bills did not pass. They're trying to push it again, but I doubt that we will have these regulations. So I advise you that you pay attention to who you are hiring, because anyone can do this off the streets. And I advise you, we have a lot of people that come here that don't know what they're doing, not even how to fill out the forms to submit a mold sample to the laboratory. Because there are criteria as an inspector, there is training. There is training from the state of New York. They have their program, and there is the IIRC, which is a nationwide program. There's plenty of opportunities to get training, get a certificate per hour certificate. I have so and so hours, 48 hours, 70 hours on mold. But like I said, there's no law in the state of New Jersey at all. You guys have to, I'm a little sick as well, so sorry about that if you hear me coughing or anything. So no law in the state of New Jersey closing this slide. There's only training, and it's a certificate, not a licensing program for remediation companies, and there's no inspection program. So be careful who you hire. And this is a statement from the EPA for mold. There are no national standards for the number of fungal spore that can be present in the indoor environment. As a general rule or guideline that is widely accepted in the indoor air quality field, the numbers and types of spores that are presented in the indoor environment should not exceed those that are present outdoors at any given time. So we have a problem indoors when the amount or count of spores are very, very large compared to the outside, 10 times more. That's the problem. Either a individual mold or as a whole, collectively, all of them together, just like our previous slide. And like I said, there's plenty of variables. I think an indoor house, residential, can have up to 1,200 Aspergillus penicillin if there is no water staining, there is no damages, and all the other criteria pass, your visual inspection passes, your physical sample passes, there's no problem. You have 1,200 spores of Aspergillus. If the other part of the inspection passes. Basically, this is a nutshell of mold. There are 25,000 types of, million types of mold spores. And a problem we are encountering today is that doctors are telling people to test their blood, and they're coming out, I have mold in my blood, and they want to do DNA testing for mold. That's $350 per sample. I think you will always have some type of microbial in your blood because, like I said, it's everywhere. It's You can't just go about it, go to nature, and you're going to have some in your body for sure. There's no way to not come across it. And just keep your eye out who you hire is the most beneficial thing that I need you to take in today. Um, I'm open for questions regarding mold. I hope you learn how to read the report. You take one sample in the work area, one sample outside of the work area, and I recommend you take more data points like first floor, second floor, basement, so we can know what's going on. Hire professionals, and I'm open for questions regarding mold today. If anyone has questions, I'd like to answer. Anything on the chat? Alec, are you there? Anything
No.
that came through or
If anyone wants me to unmute them, you can raise your hand, or otherwise you can enter your questions in the chat. That's fine as well. Okay, Abby, give me 1 second. Okay, you can unmute now.
Oh, hello. Thank you for today's talk. In case there was a home that had mold, in this case it was a basement, and they had it mitigated. I saw that they removed half of the sheetrock in the basement, and they treated it. My question to you, sir, is will the mold be permanently removed, assuming that the source of the mold is taken care of, or does it not never get removed permanently? That's one question.
um, let's go over that question, and I'm going to assume everything was done professionally. Number one, we would have an inspection so we can know what's going on. Number two, they remove the mold. So they would do what's called a flood cut, which is 2 feet from the ground, and then they move upwards until no visible mold is present. They will have a machine sucking the air out through HEPA filters. They will toss anything that is damaged, and they will also toss anything that is cellulose. Cellulose will be sheetrock. Wood depends. If it's rotten, if it's treatable, and if it's the frame or the beam, you have to treat it with a remove. But anything that's cellulose based is going to go. Insulation, sheetrock, joint compound, plaster, you have to make that decision. After they remove these materials, remember has to be a sealed enclosure space, negative pressure. They're going to put the chemical in to kill the mold. A lot of people use shockwave or other commercial industrial mold agent killers. After that, they're going to apply an encapsulation, which is typically white. Some of them are clear. Some of them is a 2-in-1 banger. But after that, you encapsulate with a microbial sealant, and then you can reconstruct the area. But before they reconstruct the area, they got to do another air quality test by third party independent to see if that passes, first of all. And they're going to see that protocol, see if they followed it. We take the samples, and if the air quality is good, then they can reopen that enclosure again and take their machines out. It shouldn't come back unless you do not address what's causing it. Could be a gutter that's going directly to your foundation. Could be the grading, the pitch outside that's leading water to the basement. Could be a faulty window. That information will be generated on the initial inspection by the mold inspector. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
A follow-up question would be, let's assume they did all that and the house is still on the market 3 months later. Do you recommend a new inspection take place, air quality and the whole 9 yards, or just accept the previous results?
Is anyone living in the house for 2 months?
No.
I would recommend you do it. Personally, you're investing, let's say $500,000, 500,000 in a house. The average cost around here, $500, $600 inspection wouldn't break the bank. I would redo it just in case, because now you have a house that is shut, no one in there. The air gets stagnant. Everything starts to be compromised, and the air becomes this microbial ball, sort of say, like when you go into the air ducts and you see all that lint in the vent, the mold starts to collect in that little spit ball and starts digesting that, and then it goes through your AC. Of course, it gets caught by the filter, but you never know. Like I said, with the house with the no circulation, it's really bad and it grows a lot. We have tons of situations. People go on vacation and they forget to turn on their AC or turn it off. Just this year, we closed 3 schools because they refused to put their AC on during the summer. And when they came back, it was just molded.
Mm.
So, yes, test. 600
Thank you,
bucks.
sir.
I'm going to break the bank for a quarter to $500,000 investment. And where you're going to foster your kids.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Next question. Before we move on to lead.
We have one from Patricia.
Sure.
So she said, first one, if there are no national and state mold standards or guidelines, how does the requirement to present the mold advisory booklet align with what has been presented today?
There is no there's a national standard. Yes, there's a standard. It's not a law because every state is different because every state is sort of in a different environment. Let's say Seattle rains a lot. Florida is very humid. New Jersey, so every 6 months. Uh, if this answers your question, I was at another class like this one, and the guy asked me, "Do you have to get a fan and fan out the room for about 2 minutes or so at a certain power level, like 1 horsepower, 2 minutes?" And I was like, "Where did you get that regulation?" And he said, "No, the guy just said you have to fan out the room before you do the quality test." And then they said, "Do you mind if I ask who told you that?" And they said, "So and so." I was like, and so in my head, it kind of clicked. This company was a nationwide company doing mold. And usually the southern states, such as Florida, is very humid. And the mold spore tends to attach itself to the wall. So fanning the room is, I don't know if it's part of the regulation criteria or did something they just do. We do have an office in Florida, which I don't do much in Florida anymore. I'm going more to the West Coast. So there's a national standard. The national standard is right in front of you. This is what the EPA recommends. That you take enough data, enough samples to make it viable, to make it meaningful. Make sure that you have training. Those are the national standards that they say. The AIHA says 10 times compared to the inside and the outside. Like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg with some information that I'm giving you. Like, so every state has their own thing. Even some cities have their own thing, like New York City, Philadelphia has its own regulations compared to a nationwide standard. It is not an exact answer, I know that, because there is no certification for it. There's only training and there's only criteria that we have to meet. It's taking enough data to be meaningful, to make sure that we're doing the right thing, to pinpoint the situation and present it in paper form when we see it in front of us by utilizing the tools that we have in hand today. Hopefully that answers your question. Any other question before we move on? Because I want to get glad in as fast as
We
we
have
can.
another one, same person, Patricia.
I don't mind
She
staying
said,
later than an hour.
she said, you mentioned that we should be careful who we contract or hire for mold inspections and remediation. Would
Mhm.
you please share again who we should hire in terms of experience or credentials?
Sure. Ask them for their training certificate. Insurance asks for their IIRC training certificates for remediation companies. If you don't have that, you can work with insurance. New Jersey accepts, when I say accepts, there's no one looking for it, but they would like you to have at least an online training for mold inspector assessment. New York has a training course. New York State has a training course. You can take that one, or you can take the online course, which is the IIRC. I recommend the IRC and I recommend taking the New York one because the New York one is the hands-on. You actually have to be present in it. It's a hands-on. The initial inspection is a hands-on, and after that, your refreshers on your initial it's hands-on. And I think the IIRC, there's some that are, I think the initial is hands-on as well. So I just recommend that you have, maybe they have insurance for mold remediation. That'll be another thing. If they have insurance, they gotta have the training they ask for. So some documentation, just asking for their certificate of training. One more
I
before we
think
move
that's
on?
all we have. You can continue.
Sure. Lead-based paint. Everyone is very, very confused about lead-based paint today. And I'll explain to you. In accordance with the PL 2021-182, the initial inspection for units subject to the chapter must be upper tenant turnover. This was actually implemented 2022 in the past 2024, July 22nd. It's basically 90% of the towns in New Jersey is a visual inspection to make sure that the paint is in good condition, right? So this is a lead-based paint for rentals. You guys are aware that rentals need a lead inspection. It's a visual inspection to see if the paint is in good condition before you get your CO. A lot of the towns are behind because they said that the state said you're going to implement this law, but they didn't receive funding. They didn't receive systems, software. They didn't receive nothing. They just said you're going to implement this, and they want the towns to do it. It takes it. How many units, apartments do we have for townships to take care if they're already underfunded? So it's kind of hard what they did here. Your inspector have to go and see if there's any peeling paint. There's no peeling paint, he writes your certificate. And it's good for 2 years or the tenant turnover. The tenant turnover, sometimes when you go get that CO, you need to have the lead as well. Some towns don't even ask for a CO because they're too large and they don't have the manpower to, so people just move in and move out. So that's the problem. They don't have the fund to actually control and monitor this. Let's go a little bit more into detail. So the periodic inspection responsibility was given to the townships. The municipality that maintains a permanent local agency for the purpose of conducting inspections, reinforcing the laws, ordinance, and regulations concerning buildings and structures, such as an agency responsible for performing required inspections. So the towns were supposed to do this initially. In between, there's the lead evaluation contractor, which is me. I'm the lead inspector. A municipality that does not maintain a permanent local agency, they can go and hire a third-party lead evaluated contractor, which is me. The landlord can also hire the lead evaluated contractor, which is me. So the municipality and the landlord can actually hire me, which is the middle column, to do an inspection. What is a lead inspection? A lead inspection is a surface-to-surface investigation to determine if there is lead-based paint in a home. This is a little different. This is a person that comes with the machine called the XRF, this machine on the bottom right corner, and they will point every wall, every window, every door, every baseboard. They will have about 100 to 150 shots of a home to see each surface to surface has lead, and that's called the XRF. Not too many companies have that machine because the machine costs $26,000. The rental is called a risk assessment, the visual inspections. A lead hazard risk assessment is on-site investigation to determine the existent nature, severity, and location of the lead-based paint hazards. So I'm going to your home, looking at all the walls and crannies to see if it has any hazard, any peeling, cracking, paint. and that visual inspection pass, I will write you a certificate that is good for 2 years or 10 eternal. You receive a certificate that's called lead safe, which is good for 2 years or 10 eternal. For you to get the certificate that's called lead free, you have to hire a company to bring that machine called the XRF, and then the machine will take the reading of every surface to surface. If everything, all the surfaces has no lead, you get a certificate called lead free. Usually lead was removed from the industry in 1978. Any properties, any properties that were built prior to need a lead certificate risk visual inspection or lead inspection. Anything over 78, there is no need. You're not within the range. I don't have water testing here because there's not that many people. I mean, some homeowners during inspection they do water, but this is more for the rental. So just to give a cap here, a risk assessment is a visual inspection for rental units good for 2 years. You get your lead safe certificate. It has to be re-inspected 2 years. Lead free, you need the XRF machine and test every surface, and you will receive your lead free if there is no lead. This is the certificate that you will receive. You either receive it with, you will have the application's dwelling unit, inspector's information, their evaluated contracting license, their phone number, everything is in there on the top. If a township is doing it, they will fill out the bottom, name of the municipal inspector and the signature. So some towns requires surface wipe samples. It's typically 7 samples, 6 in one blend. Trenton requires 9, Newark requires 8. I don't know why they're changing this. It doesn't fit the protocol. Montclair and Belleville and Passaic on their website they require wipe samples. On the federal website under the DCA, Department of Community Affairs, it says visual. So things are a little bit confusing. And we have that problem with a lot of towns, especially Belleville and Passaic. And 90% of towns is just a visual. 10% you will need wipes. Wipes is basically we get a little bit of this wipe, micro wipe, and we wipe it on the window and we will wipe the floor. Certain square footage that you have to wipe. I'm not going to go into those details. And then it goes to a laboratory for analysis. And that's basically the nature of this lead law that passed. We had this law before. It was called Title X in 1990, where they reinforced lead inspections. And now it's coming back again because we kind of forgot about it, to tell the truth. What they did was every school does water testing every 3 years. And they also took those results, they took the lead poisoning cases of the state of New Jersey. Trust me, we have a lot. And they said which towns, they did a percentage mathematical equation, said which towns require wipes, which towns are just visual. What puzzles me the most is Jersey City only requires it. I figured they would require wipes as well. It's another layer of protection. A lead-based paint is a metal that is located in paints, shellacs, and it causes nervous system damage into your organs. Most of our poison comes from water, not hand to mouth contact. Children have their hands on the floor and they put their hands in their mouth. It's mostly water. Second is children hand-to-mouth contact. So I recommend if you have paint flaking, make sure you clean it right away. This is like I said, it's a 1 hour class. This is just a nutshell of lead-based paint for rental units. But if you want, anyone has questions regarding real estate transactions or about their school, have any questions or any problems, you're welcome to ask. There's a hand up, Ella.
You can.
Yes, Rick, I have a question.
Sure.
A lot of the homes, well, not a lot of the homes, but some homes are remodeled, so the entire sheetrock and paint is taken out, and brand new sheetrock is put on, and new paint. In this case, does the apartment or the home ever is going to be lead free forever? Because now, when the year 2025, let's say they remodeled it in 2020, brand new sheetrock, brand new paint. Will this home or apartment be permanently lead free?
We have that case a lot. What we instruct our team to ask is that congratulations on the renovation. Did you do this renovation down to the studs, down to the bones? Because when we come in with the XRF machine to test surface to surface lead, let's supposedly a window. We're not just testing the window itself. We're testing every component of the window separately. You have the frame, you have the jamb, you have the sill, you have the well, you have the trim, and there are more parts to a window, trust me. Same thing with the door. We have the door, we have the stopper, we have the frame, we have the trim. And each of those components is going to get individual reading. And if it's positive, if you want to lead free, like the word says lead free, those components have to be removed. So before going to the home, we always ask, how deep into the renovation did you go? Did you go down to the studs? Do you still have the old windows? Because mostly the lead is focused on friction and impact surfaces. So when you close and open the door, mostly the frame will have lead because it's a friction area. Window sills, window wells, window trims, not so much. But the window casts where you just go down and up when they rub on each other in the casing, yes, those are friction areas. Stairs, the back of the stairs, the front of your foot hits the stairs, that's an impact area. So the lead will be focused more, not the walls itself, but on these friction and impact areas. So those are the ones that the visual inspector guy that's going to come and look at. Visual friction areas. Couldn't look at everything, but they're just going to focus more on those areas. So yeah, so the answer is we always ask before going how deep the renovation was, because we are going to test details and components of doors and windows, baseboards, crown molding, and etc.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% correct. There was a case where the house was inspected for lead and given a passing grade, yet when a tenant moved in and she had a child, the child went to the doctor and they discovered high lead levels. It turns out that it was, like you said, hand to mouth, somewhere around the window sills or the floor, the baseboard. So you're correct about that. Thank you.
Yes, the window sills is where we take our wipes when we do that visual inspection. We take one on the window sill itself and then one directly on the floor. It's mainly focused on windows. Next question, T.
No question.
All right, so lead-based paint, you guys got a grasp on it. And I'll always be here as a consultant of this group to help. Maybe at the end of this, I'll give you my direct line so you guys have any questions. You have a consultant on your side. We'll do a closing statement. I'm going to assume that many of you guys deal with asbestos during a real estate transaction, correct? It's more of a liability thing because the bank wants to test it. But nowadays, it's mostly the buyer. that want to test it out. Preferably, I will waste my credit elsewhere, more like a boiler or an HVAC. But we're going to talk about asbestos history, use, the why, the health concerns, the real estate transaction, renovation, and demolition aspect of asbestos today. We have about 10-15 minutes left for this one. But like I said, each of this class is just the basic. It's a 40-hour class. So we're trying to squeeze in everything that we can. This one's not going to have a lot of pictures, but it's going to be fun. The first debris was found back in 750,000 years ago. Around 4000 BC, asbestos long hair-like fibers were used as wicks, lamps, and candles. Between 2000 and 3000 before Christ, it was found wrapped around Egyptian pharaohs. The asbestos word comes from the Greek spell. It was noticing that people were getting sick. They call it sickness of the lungs. The slaves that used to wear or fabricate cloths. The word asbestos in Greek is inquenchable or inextinguishable. And the commercial use of asbestos began in 1800. Canada built the first commercial mine in Quebec in a town called Asbestos. That mine just closed, I think, maybe a couple years ago, and the town was called Asbestos. It's Canada, Quebec. In the early 1900s, through machine mining powers, worldwide we had 30,000 metric tons annually, asbestos being mined from the ground. More locally here, we have Manville, John's Manville, which is in Manville. It's a large fabricator of asbestos and building material. In Manhattan, in Staten Island, we also had a huge mine, which the owner died, and John Manville bought that mine to become the largest manufacturer of asbestos in the USA. Is here in New Jersey, in Manville, called John's Manville. You will still see a lot of branding John's Manville in building materials. We have approximately 30,000 products and byproducts with asbestos that was manufactured back then. So we had health warnings from many government bodies, agency bodies, but no one did anything because it was cheap, it was light in weight to travel with, send it by mail, so it was a profit. In 1910, world production succeeded 109 metric tons, more than 3 times the 1900. So after World War I, II, and the Great Depression, asbestos was applied more domestically. So between 1930s and 1950s, that's when we created all those 30,000 products, and we also started rebuilding our roads. Asbestos was laced within the asphalt, cement, any material really. The U.S. consumption of asbestos peaked in 1973 at 804,000 metric tons. The world peak was in 1977. About 25 countries were producing about 4.8 million metric tons per year, and 85 countries were producing thousands of asbestos products. That's a lot. That's a lot. You have to understand that a grain of rice could have about thousands of fibers, because we're talking about microns. Asbestos is 0.2 to 0.5 microns, and it can go lower, but our detection limit is 0.3 to 0.2 to 0.5 microns, so it's way thinner than hairspray. Why did we use asbestos so much? Its properties, the electrical conduit properties, fire retardant, chemical resistant. It's basically indestructible, and it's very cheap to mine, and it has no weight. There is no better product than asbestos. It's just how we use it. You can change its optical property, but you cannot destroy asbestos at all. These are the usual suspects that you guys see during a transaction of a home. Pipe, duct insulation, 9 by 9 floor tiles, transite on an exterior siding, and vermiculite in the attic. Anybody want to tell me any other material that they found during a transaction that's out of this list? Because there's tons more. I just want to see everyone's awake. So moving forward with the
We
asbestos.
have
Sure,
tests. Give me 1 second. You
go
can
for it.
test.
Hi, good afternoon. So we recently actually did an inspection on a home where it was a ceiling that the inspector thought could be that material based on the style, kind of like small dots, and it's a white square.
Mhm. Yeah, ceiling tiles get a bad rap. A lot of them are mostly compressed particle board, and then you have the new ones, the 4x2, that you see more of a synthetic material. But a lot of them in homes are suspended; they're just nailed in. But the positive stuff is the glue, the 1x1s with the little holes. If they're glued on, they have 4 glue dots on the other side. That's usually asbestos. But we're going to turn this around a little bit real quick. But yeah, ceiling tile gets a bad rep, but I don't get ceiling tile being positive a lot. In the past 23 years, I had ceiling tile being positive 3 times. One of them was just an office, which is weird because it shouldn't be there. And the other 2 were music halls. So they were using as acoustic properties to keep the sound out. So they specifically maybe requested asbestos tiles. And the other one was a movie theater, which is also acoustic properties to prevent the sound. That's what ceiling tiles are used for, but this one, the music and movie theater really need it. For a home, like I said, not quite, haven't seen much, but we have to test it because when in doubt, we can assume we have to test it. So you have ceiling tiles, vermiculite, transite, 9 by 9 or linoleum, or even 12 by 12 by a lot of people have the misconception that all 9 by 9s are positive. That is almost right. I would say 98% of 9 by 9 are positive. There are a few that are negative. Not all of them, but like I said, very high number, 98%. 12 by 12s are 50-50. You never know. Might as well test. Vermiculite, if you guys don't know, is that little gold and brown little popcorn pebbles located in the attic. Vermiculite also has a bad rep because it comes from Libby, Montana. Libby mine in Montana. And we were extracting other materials from that mine, and they discovered that, hey, we have some material here that we can use in insulation, but it also had asbestos, and we did not know. Within the years working in the mine, many people unfortunately passed away. There was a company called Zonolite that was extracting the minerals, and Zonolite had distributed vermiculite throughout the entire country. And after the lawsuits started piling up, Zonolite closed, and we don't know. We don't know what's asbestos, what's not. We don't have any documentation, but usually, typically, the Zonolite product. So we just test. New Jersey doesn't have specific regulations for vermiculite. We just test it like any other material. Other states have. New York State has different regulations when the Department of Health vermiculite. I think Philadelphia as well. But there's a way to collect vermiculite. Please consult a professional. It's 3 samples, quart size, from the bottom, 2 different locations. And that's the history with vermiculite. You have to also be careful. There is a way to do this. We don't just collect 1 sample. We collect 2 samples. Surfacing materials, we collect 3 samples. Surfacing materials would be a material that appears on the surface and it's glued on or troweled on. so sheetrock, plaster, somewhat floor tiles. We collect 3 samples for each square footage sphere. So if there's not a probability that the laboratories would be wrong by collecting 1 sample, but the regulation tells you should follow them because all of this goes together with the plan of the analytical regulations, how you conduct inspection. This all ties together again, and it makes sense. So if you know just one part of this, which is the inspection part, you don't know the information about analytical, so you may get lost to say 3 samples is too much. But what if you get 1 sample positive and 1 sample? You have the third one. Basically, it's what it is. It's how we look. This is what pipe insulation looks like. This is called the aerosol insulation. It's not 100% asbestos. It goes around the pipes in the basement. It could go inside of your wall. And a lot of people are scared when they're in the wall, but it shouldn't be. The EPA considers that if you have a solid barrier, you are fine. It's not going to go through the walls. And it's just there. It's not bothering anyone. Any house that is built in 1976 and before has asbestos some way or another. There are other types of pipe insulation, such as it's just a white caulking material. This is usually called chrysotile. This is called amosite. It's a good material. It's probably saving you a couple bucks. It's a great insulation. It's just how we handle it. This right here is duct. You'll find the one on the left in the garage or above a boiler. The one on the right is mostly the air line within the wall. And what I have to advise you that these materials, pipe insulation and duct insulation, are called friable materials. They have a range from 20 to 60% asbestos, and they're easily airborne. If you damage them, if you touch them, if you impact them, vibration or someone poking it, all depends how their stability. If they're good condition, they're fine. If they're not, if they're ripped, we might need an assessment. So it's easily airborne. That's what friable is. By touch, I can crumble it and it will become airborne. Friable material. Pipe insulation, duct insulation, or any type of it. There's your 9x9 floor tile. How do you tell if they're asbestos? There are 3 things. 9x9, 98% of them contain asbestos. Color, size, and density. They're usually dull, not very vibrant. They have pigmentations or swirls of different colors. Those are typically your asbestos, 9x9. But don't be fooled on the 12x12. They are 50-50 chance asbestos as well. Unless they're those peel and stick materials you buy at Home Depot. If you deal with construction, you should know what a Home Depot tile looks like from the 90s. We still use them a lot. The black mastic where you see on the right picture here, that also may contain asbestos. These materials, such as window caulking, roofing material, floor tiles, any glues, adhesives, proxies, they are called non-friable materials. They don't release asbestos unless they're tampered with. If you think of a foundation, like a building foundation, and you see those rods going to the cement, that's how asbestos is. It's just the material that's bonding everything together. We call it the matrix, bonding the matrix together. It is the bonding material to keep everything attached. So this is a non-friable material that doesn't become airborne unless you go out there and start really sanding and dusting it into pulverized material. You will release asbestos. It usually tile contains about 3 to 6% asbestos. It's not much at all. You don't have to overthink these things. And for an example, if you go back to the mold, when you dry your hair in the morning with a blower, that's basically what they do. Some companies have this machine that heats up the room and dries the room really fast. Same thing with asbestos. Think the smaller scale stuff to solve your problems. It's within our nature to try to solve these problems, but we don't they're there. Just think of them on the smaller term. These are exterior siding insulation. Not only the white panels are asbestos, they're chrysotile, they typically 20-25%. Sometimes the black vapor barrier also. Not often, but they do. Oh, this is vermiculite here. It comes all types, shapes, and forms. I'm going to open up the floor with the asbestos, and then I have a 2-minute closing. If you guys don't mind, any questions regarding asbestos that you need to ask me to help your real estate transaction?
We have one from Ken. He's asking, what about joint compound?
Correct. Joint compound may contain asbestos. It's usually the darkish yellow one compared to the white one, but sometimes it turns yellow due to age. It is not the sheetrock itself that has asbestos, but we still have to test it. I have never encountered a sheetrock, pure sheetrock, no stucco finish, no nothing, just a plain sheetrock that has asbestos. Usually the joint compound. For those who don't know, joint compound is the joint compound is the white paste that we put in the corners of the room where one slab of sheetrock meets the other, and then they put the white paste to fill out the gap. That's joint compound. And yes, usually 1-2%, sometimes even 0.5. But the definition of asbestos is 1%. The actual definition is equal or greater than 1%. A lot of joint compound has 0.5 or 1%, 1.2, and 2%. So yes, the joint compound is where the asbestos is when we say sheet. Not to be confused with plaster walls. Plaster walls is a new ball game. I hope that answered your question. Anything else? Any asbestos questions for me today? I would like to help your real estate transaction to really be more informative when it comes to that.
It looks like we don't have any questions.
So we are at exact 58 minutes right now. I want to do a closing statement real quick if you guys don't mind. This is not the end of the class. If you have your phone in front of you, and if you have a pen, I want you to write down my direct number. This is not a sales pitch. I didn't put any up there regarding pricing, what to do, who hire, the surgery hire professional. I just want to be your consultant. If you have a question, you can always call me directly and I'll have an answer for you. I pick up my phone calls most of the time. It's 973-494-3762. My name is Rick, R-I-C-K. And I'm the owner of Iris Environmental Laboratories. I'm going to put it on the screen real quick. Iris Environmental Laboratories. Like I said, these classes are 40 hours each, so you're looking at 120 hours here. We're trying to squeeze it into one. As an environmental consultant for this group, I'm here to help. If you have any questions, if you have any debacle or problems, I'm here to educate and guide and to reinforce your team. If you need a presentation somewhere personally, we do that too. If you need more education, call me at all times with any questions. Feel free to text as well. And like I said, as a member of this group, like I said, I'm here to consult and help. Take this number and just let me know what you need in the future, and I'm here to help. And that's free of charge, but it's just something we do. We strive to help. And that's pretty much it for the presentation today. I want to thank you and I want to apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather.
Rick, could you repeat
Understand.
your phone number again? Is it 973-494-3762?
Correct. That's a
Okay.
direct number.
Yes,
Like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I apologize for my graspy voice. I have two kids. One of them has a fever today of 100, and the other one is sick too. And we're trying to get by. I try to present to you as fast as I can. Like I said, this is not the end of the class. You have my phone number to be part to reinforce your team and make better decisions. And now you have an environmental consultant that can help with all your environmental needs.
Hi everyone. I entered the phone number, Rick's phone number in the chat. So you guys could take a look at that one. We will be sending out the slides and the recording after the session. So hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.